like to call the meeting to order, and again want to welcome our administrative team tonight. Jeff is actually away with his family. I won't tell you where he's cruising, but he's cruising with his family and his in-laws and their families. And we kind of were going to try to relocate our council meeting to the cruise ship, but I know you're all have such tight schedules that we couldn't make it fit into our agenda. So I want to welcome Barb Fox. Barb Fox is a mayoralty candidate. Alan Bryant is a council candidate, and from the media, obviously, Channel 32, Corey McCarthy. So we will get things rolling here, and Councillor Creed, and I was looking to see, but it looks like you forgot your prayer shawl.
No. We'll have to do our best with that.
We'll do our best.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful to be gathered together as the councillors for the town of Cardston this evening, and we're grateful for the opportunity to serve our community. And as we review the agenda for this evening and discuss the items that are on it, we pray that Thy Spirit will guide us, that we may make decisions which will be kind and which will benefit the citizens of the community. We're mindful of Councillor Dahl, that he is not here with us, and we pray that Thy blessings would be with him, that he may be restored to health and be able to rejoin us. We ask Thy blessings upon this meeting now, in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Okay, so I have two additions prior to calling a motion to adopt the agenda. I have two additions. 7C is a late addition. Marian will speak to that in due course. Bylaw 1621 pretty much is sitting in front of us on a technicality, and it's a technicality that she discovered just recently in discussing some other things with SCSS. So we might see three readings on that. Then we have a piece of correspondence. It's 11J, and that piece of correspondence 11J is from the folks at Municipal Affairs. And occasionally I do have to glance over at Marian just in case she says you forgot this or you forgot that. But I will call for a motion to adopt the agenda with those two additions. Councillor Kronen so moves. Anyone request to speak to that motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? The agenda is adopted. We have no delegations and such, but I would call your attention to the backgrounder. There will be two issues of business arising that are in your backgrounder. 6B and 7B will be there on the business arising. But with no delegations, I will call for a motion which would adopt the minutes of the September 10th regular council meeting. Motion to adopt. Councillor Edmonds so moved. Any comments on those minutes?
Did we get Mr. Bryant's name correct? Did they correct that already? Spelling error on your name, was there not?
It's misspelled.
Misspelled.
Do you spell it with an I rather than a Y?
Oh, no, it's got a
No, the first name is A-L-A-N.
Oh, okay, I see.
Okay. And if you have, if your memory is short like mine is, I just have to look out on my, see, he's my neighbor, so I look out on my front lawn at his campaign poster and I remember how to spell his name. Okay, I will call that motion to adopt the minutes with that spelling change. Councillor Edmonds, so moved. All in favor. Minutes are adopted. Okay, business arising. As we concluded our meeting 2 weeks ago, the Chaparral Insurance concern about centralizing via the internet licensing and registry is there for us. The motion was made to not take action pending some input from the provincial government. Now, Marian told me prior to the meeting that she would be checking emails every few minutes. And have we had anything at all? We have nothing at all from the provincial government on that. So I will call that motion that was tabled, that we send a letter in support of this local business, which I personally think they made a very good case for not centralizing. And I was a little frustrated because I spoke with Brad and Lydia on some other issues last evening. And they had some correspondence from the province saying that, well, we haven't had any registries shut down, so we don't feel any need to allow you to implement some fee increases. Now, none of us like fee increases, but the reality is in our lives, cost of operation of any business or any service or providing goods needs to be revisited at least on a consistent basis, because sooner or later, the rubber hits the road, the whatever needs to be evaluated. So I'll call that motion that we write a letter in support of, and I don't know if I'm doing this procedurally correct because it was tabled. Pending.
It was tabled pending the government
And we have nothing, so I'm
response.
going to call that question because the condition of tabling it has not changed anything. So who made the motion initially?
I think just
Councillor Creed made the motion.
So I will remake that motion.
So that motion is remade.
Motion 1388.
Motion 1388. I don't know, I don't remember your motion in detail, other than in support of, we send a letter to the province. I would hope that when we send a letter to the province, that we would be tactful yet very clear in terms of these small businesses, in especially rural communities, and the vital services that are essential that they provide, Councillor.
Is it possible that motion read back again?
Yes, I can read that motion. Moved by Councillor Creed to send a letter to the provincial government expressing strong concern regarding the deprivatization of registry services in Alberta.
I think I also mentioned that we should express our concern about losing, these small, these
businesses
these
in our
businesses
rural towns.
from our communities.
Do you want to add that to the motion?
Yeah, I think that would be the concern, is that these things could disappear from our town, and we need that face-to-face contact. And if it all goes online, there will be people that are not computer literate, or seniors who will be deprived, really.
Well, and Councillor, thank you very much,
Yeah,
because so vital is the very fact that there's already online capabilities.
There
But
is.
it goes through the registry organization, and when you do, you get to state what the registry is that you use, and they would derive a small commission from that, as I understand it. And so there is an online capability. So any other comments in support of the motion, Councillor?
The other problem is it's going to affect companies like AMA, because they have a registry set up there, and also driver training and issuing of licenses and things like that. So even the larger ones are going to be crippled as well.
It goes to the viability of some of these essential service providers. So I think as a council, we're of one mind on this. So I will call that question all in favor of the motion. That motion carries. Thank you very much. The next item is 6B, and it has to do with the tax situation. And because it's just a little bit complicated, but let me just hit the highlights. They're prepared to pay everything, but they would like us to waive the September 30th
No, to
upcoming.
December.
December.
They're prepared to pay the September 30th penalty, but they would like us to waive the December penalty, and then they would adhere to a proposed
Tip.
payment situation, and then they will enter into TIP at its appropriate time in due course. Councillor.
Okay. First of all, I really think that they're trying to put things back into order. The account is a complex account because a portion of it came from utilities that were not paid,
Yeah.
connection of utilities not paid when the house was completed. So, and then there was that portion and there were tax portion. So fair enough, they were behind time with the taxes, but with the scheduled repayment that I see, it appears that they're willing, that they're complying with a term that we expressed in June 25th, when we said that the terms were they pay what is owing, including the penalties. So from what I see is that what they are accepting, which is good. So I would be prepared to put a motion forward that the December penalty be waived, considering, but with a condition that terms of repayment as expressed in a letter and formalized by administration be adhered to. Otherwise, the penalty goes back on a bill.
And is that your motion?
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor. Is everyone clear on the situation here? There, as you're aware, if you don't pay your, and interestingly enough this year, because July the 1st was a Monday holiday, your taxes weren't really due till the 2nd of July. And they're not late because the 30th of June, I guess, is what really would be the due date, was on a weekend. So, but there is a penalty for taxes that are not paid on the due date. Then there's a second penalty on the 30th of September. They're prepared to pay both of those, but they're asking us to waive, as Councillor Kronen has so well stated, any December penalty, and then they'll implement this payment as in the documents here. So Councillor Kronen has moved waiver, as they've requested, to waive any December penalty, and they will implement this payment schedule. Then they plan to go on tip at the right time in the subsequent year. You start tip right in the new sort of tax year as soon as you pay your taxes in June, right? Then you go on tip in July?
August.
Or you start tip in August, okay.
In other words, they still have about June, July, August, a little bit 3 months where they can kind of readjust themselves before starting with tip. So I would hope that this would be the solution that would be feasible for them to correct the situation.
Now, any comments or concerns about this? I know on occasion, and we're not going to get into specifics, on occasion where there was some justification, we have waived penalties. I don't feel that we need to be iron-fisted or hard-nosed, as long as there's some justification and some sincere attempts to maintain current status. So,
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's reasonable to, to meet them part way when they've got a plan, and I know the Councillor Kronen included in their motion, it's conditional upon adhering to their plan and the schedule, and I think that's fair.
and failure to adhere then puts that December penalty back
Exactly.
on the table. Right. Okay, so
So it's an incentive.
yeah, any other questions or concerns about that motion? I will call that question. All in favor. That motion carries. Thank you, Council. So the next item is request for decision A. Administration is recommending we apply for another municipal intern. You're probably aware that Alexis is in a full-time position. But the interesting thing here is that we're going to go into this hoping that the county will share with us this municipal intern. Any other comments, Marian, on that?
The intent is that we apply cooperatively with the county, and the intent would be that we think that this would be a very, very valuable position to help us implement any recommendations that may come out of our shared service review. And as you know, we've had great success with the one intern that we have had. She's in her second year now, And so we would like council to support that motion.
How much longer do we have Alexis here?
Actually, her internship will end in May of this year, of 2014.
She's on a
But
permanent
we've put her into the FCSS
Yes, that's
position
right.
as part-time, and she's actually filling the assistant finance position right now as well. So she's actually the intern, but under a full-time employee workload.
She's
So
a full-time employee.
she's replaced a full-time employee.
Is she hoping to stay down here then? Is she hoping to stay?
We anticipate that we would be able to keep her long-term, so, but that will be up to her at the end of her internship.
The chair will entertain the motion regarding the intern, sharing that internship with the county, and then Councillor Kronen would like to speak to the motion.
I'll make a motion.
Councillor Smith so moves. Councillor Kronen, you wanted to speak.
I really believe that the government is starting to send very clear signal that if we don't seek partnerships with neighboring jurisdictions, the money will become tighter and tighter. So I think we're making an effort to fulfill that mandate.
Well,
And I think it's smart to get started to train people that can maybe later on become employees of our town.
and your point is so critical in
Yeah.
small, rural, urban municipalities such as Cardston, because all of a sudden you have duplication of services if you don't try to share, or maybe you get no services at all. So as you try to share, the grant that's been approved on waste management is an exciting situation, and that's going to move through its phases of expressions of interest and so forth. So Councillor Smith has moved approval of the application, the grant application for an intern, and that being an application with the county. Any comments or questions on that motion? I think it's a step in the right direction, because any services that we can jointly share with the county saves us all money. I will call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Council. The next one has to do with the Schaefer development. Specifically, they bought a piece of land, and it's in your backgrounder, and they're not getting what they would like in terms of cooperation from all the neighbors, but so they've agreed to put the road up on their property. So now it impacts upon our infrastructure. So Marian, you want to speak to that just real quickly?
Sure. This is on?
Testing.
So, as the mayor said, the roadway is going to come all out of John Schaefer's property. The current utilities are in an easement that was intended to be a roadway. So there was 30 feet out of one property and 30 feet out of another property. We've stubbed the utilities partway up that easement. With the road now shifting to the north, it's our recommendation that the utilities be angled over and then put up the roadway like we have in all other areas. It'll accomplish a couple of things. First of all, it'll make it easier to service that in the future. We would prefer that our utilities be in roadways or boulevards rather than in easements. The second thing it'll do is shorten the length of the service connections for the properties that Mr. Schaefer is subdividing. So there's a benefit on both sides, both for the town in the future with our infrastructure, but as well a benefit for Mr. Schaefer and the future property owners there for the length of those service connections.
Thank you, Mary. Now, as you notice in the background, the anticipated cost here is around $3,000 to angle those services over. Is council prepared to make a motion, or do we want to discuss it prior to coming to a motion?
Can we discuss a little bit?
Sure.
I just trying to look at it from a perspective of a win-win kind of situation. Here we have a roadway that Jim is putting himself. It means that the utilities have to be rerouted. It's a benefit to the town. It's a benefit to the future property owners. So shouldn't that cost maybe bond half and half.
Is that a motion, Councillor?
I would say so.
You got that now? Approving the proposed angling of the utility at a half and half cost share. Good job, good job. So Councillor Kronen moves. Any comments on the motion, Councillor?
Yes,
Court?
if we didn't angle it over, it would go up the easement line, is that correct? And that's on
Correct.
Levitt's
It would-
property there.
That's right.
Partially on Levitt's and partially on Schaefer's, yeah.
But the problem is the connection, the future connection.
Yeah, I know,
The houses would have
That's
so
right.
much more
yeah,
to go to the connection with so much more risk.
right. And we
and
prefer our
problems.
utilities in the roadway, not in somebody's lawn.
And it's better to have them under a road than to have them
Well, and
nowhere.
in essence, they actually end up being boulevard, so.
Exactly.
And just as a matter of curiosity, this is on Third Avenue, right? Third Avenue?
It would be an extension of Third Avenue,
The
correct?
sad part about it is, in my opinion, Seth, at that Third Avenue, there's no services going east on Third Avenue. Now, that may never happen, but, so any other comments on the proposal that's before us? Angle the services, put them in the roadway, and a cost share with the developer.
Well, my only concern is it's really not Schaefer's fault that manhole is where it's at. So I really think it's maybe should be borne by us to move it over there. It's not really their fault that we stuck it there, and now we're going to put it in a different roadway.
But fault aside, I don't think, well, anyway, your comments, Councillor?
No, I'm just thinking, I agree with Councillor Court that that's been an area of great problems and discussion over the last 3 years and even before then.
But you see, if you get adjoining property, which is the case, typically 30 feet is taken from one property owner and 30 feet from this property owner. So there's really no fault involved anywhere.
Well, except for the Schaefers are taking all of it out of their land and not out to the other
Which
person's
is-
land.
Which is the only way they can make it happen.
Yeah, so I really think they've done their part.
Mhm.
I just see this as a little bit of a punishment to them.
Councillor?
Yeah, I'd just like to add my comment to it. It's not a large amount to change that, and, you know, they've been struggling, you know, for some time trying to get some development, and to my way of thinking, it's an olive leaf that it's not going to be a burden to the town to, I don't think, to provide that service over to them, and maybe help them feel a little bit better about our town's willingness to help with the development.
Councillor?
It seems to me it is this council that had decided that all development costs should be borne by the developer. In this case, I can see the wisdom of not having him bear all the cost. And I think that's going out of the policies that we have. But if we never true to our policies, why do we have policies?
Good question, Councillor Court.
Unfortunately, there's always circumstances around these, and that
I
manhole
agree.
cover is not where the road's going to be. I think they've done their part by taking the land off of their piece of land instead of forcing the issue with their neighbor, and just bump it over there and move it up the middle of the road.
Yeah, but in doing so, it becomes then, you would say, a town problem, right?
What I'm saying is, they're doing their part to try and alleviate this problem. I think we should do our part too.
But in the
But we have-
end, the developer is in the position to benefit.
So it can recoup the cost once it's
They
sold
can
the
recoup
lots.
their costs. Councillor
No.
Creed?
Just, you know, Councillor Cronin raised a good point, and I'd like to ask Marian if she would comment on if that, where that fits as far as our policies. You know, would it be viable either way, you know, for the town to go ahead and angle that, or, you know, because I'm not clear on you know, whose land this is on, really. The stub is on the town, part of the town services that was put there, right?
Correct.
And
It's on an easement.
It's on an
It's in
easement.
an easement.
Right.
yes.
Which is
So
the
it
town's
could be
property.
extended directly
end.
west
Yeah.
through the easement. The
Mhm.
easement is in place.
Right.
But the preference, both from the town's perspective and the developer's engineers,
Mhm.
is that it be angled and put through the road.
Okay, now if it went straight for, now who's paying for it to begin with? If it goes straight through, would it be
Schaefer's.
The
Schaefer's?
developer.
So if the town angles it, that's an additional $3,000, and Schaefer's are still paying the rest of the cost, right?
That's correct.
But let's
But-
remember, the connection costs,
Will be less.
by angling it over towards their land,
Mhm.
is
Way less.
reduced, because each
The distance is no
lot
longer the
as
same.
it sells, that property owner that buys a lot, builds a house, is going to have to pay those connection costs.
Mhm.
Whether they're direct or indirect,
Right.
they still have to pay.
Right.
So now those costs are cut down significantly
Mhm.
by our participation with them in this.
60 feet.
Just one other comment to that is with our current policies as well, the property owner is responsible for their connection service to the main. So the longer that connection
Distance
service
is.
is, the more risk the future property owners have and the more expense potentially they would have for repair of any of those service lines as well.
Right.
Okay.
In answer to your question, though, Councillor, I think you were talking about the policy. The policy does state that the developers will be responsible for the cost of infrastructure unless otherwise negotiated or determined by council. So you do have the ability to negotiate or make some other decision other than that based on each individual circumstance, like Councillor Cortez.
Or unless it's a benefit to the town as well, correct?
And in this case it is, because we don't want, as has been stated, we don't want those utilities going through easements. We want them in roadways, okay? As it will be the case here, if possible. I will call the question. The question, again, would you repeat that, please?
To approve the angling of utility servicing into the roadway to be paid 50% by the town and 50% by Schaefer.
Okay, I will call that question. All in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion fails.
Which is no good.
Motion fails. So do we have an alternate motion?
I'll move that the town go ahead and put it in that maybe motion to fail to, but I would move that the town
Bear the cost.
bear the cost of angling that.
Of angling.
Since Schaefer's will still bear the rest of the cost of the service. We just bear the cost of the difference in angling it. And, yeah. And then
What do you
that's it.
mean? Can you explain a little bit? I don't
Well,
understand.
okay, if it went straight, Schaefer's would bear the entire cost,
Plus,
right?
each owner,
Yeah.
each connection
Yeah,
would have that.
but that would be the owners, that wouldn't be Schaefer's, that would be whoever
Yeah,
buys the
but
lot.
that's a benefit
paying
we're
more.
giving them. That's
Yeah.
a benefit we're giving them
Yeah, we're
in
giving them.
allowing for this to happen,
But
right?
not necessarily Schaefer's unless they could make it a better selling feature on
Like I mentioned,
their lots, but.
this length of hookup compared to this
Yeah.
length of hookup
Yeah.
is still going to be borne by the person who buys.
By the buy, yeah.
It's either paid directly, but it'll be hidden in the cost. Marian, you have a comment?
Just for clarification, those service connections will be put in at the time of development. They won't be put in the future. The intent would be that they would be put in at the same time the main is put in.
So who would pay for those?
Schaefer.
Schaefer's would pay for those.
So,
So
Councillor.
how much would it save them? Just out of curiosity, if I can ask it.
I don't have those
Oh.
details, Councillor.
Okay.
I don't have their numbers
Okay.
from their
No,
engineer. The only numbers I have is the additional cost of approximately $3,000 for the angling and then the additional manhole for taking it to the north.
I mean, the amount of money is not the essence. The essence is a principle. Do we adhere to principles or not? And if not, let's have a good reason why not. And if the reason is it benefits the town, maybe that's a good enough reason.
That would be my reason.
You know, if that's a good enough reason. But every time that we'll have a situation There will always be a good reason.
in somebody's mind. Okay, so we have a motion by Councillor Creed that would move that the town pay the entire $3,000 cost to angle. And any further discussion on that motion? I will call that question. All in favor of that motion?
As well.
Opposed?
Let them have it.
Okay, motion carries. Okay. The next item of business is bylaw 1621. Now, I think because Marian and I discussed this, Marian will be the best person to tell you what we're doing here.
Thank you, Your Worship. As you remember, we talked about the Sunday sports bylaw. I believe it was bylaw 1614 was put forward, and there was a third reading put forward that failed, and that was regarding the Sunday sports. In that bylaw, we had that upon third and final reading, bylaw 1441 and amendments thereto would be rescinded. Because that bylaw was defeated, my assumption was that bylaw 1441 would still take precedent, and that the clause that is before you in bylaw 1621 was still in effect. We've been just working on some FCSS agreements, and in reviewing the FCSS bylaw, we realized that bylaw 1441 and amendments thereto had been rescinded as part of the FCSS bylaw. The old bylaw used to be what we called the community services bylaw, and within that there was regulations that outlined the FCSS board as well as the Parks and Recreation Department, and we've now split those into two separate committees and two separate boards, so they have their own bylaws. But part of that was the clause that dealt with organized sports on Sunday. So I'm presenting this bylaw for you tonight because bylaw 1441 was rescinded, which means all parts of it were rescinded. And there was a very clear message to council when you discussed the bylaw previously. So I have put the exact wording back in, and I'll read that to you. That a bylaw of the town of Cardston in the province of Alberta for the purpose of establishing the regulations for Sunday use of town-owned recreation facilities. Now therefore, pursuant to the Municipal Government Act and revised statutes and amendments thereto, Mayor and Council duly assembled enacts the following. No organized sport shall be permitted in any town of Cardston operationally funded recreation facility within the town of Cardston or upon any of the recreation grounds or in the parks on Sunday. This bylaw shall come into force upon third and final reading. So it's really an administrative amendment or new bylaw administratively, and I apologize to council that at the time that that bylaw was rescinded, was defeated, I didn't realize that bylaw 1441 had already been rescinded through the FCSS bylaws. So I just wanted to make sure that this was still within our bylaws, and it was a clear message that was given to council, and so I believe that you would support this bylaw.
Councillor Edmonds.
Does this include the Agrodome as well?
No, the Agrodome is not operationally funded, and that was, this goes back to a bylaw that was passed. I'll give you the original date of bylaw 1441. Sorry, it was an amendment, so I just have to find the amendment here. 1441C, which was passed in January of 2004, and the reading in that bylaw was exactly the same. No organized sport shall be permitted in any town of Cardston operationally funded recreation facility within the town of Cardston or upon any of the recreation grounds or in the parks on Sunday.
So,
I need a motion
I need a motion for first
I will
reading.
put it.
Councillor Kronen so moves. Discussion on first reading. Seeing none, all in favor of first reading? Motion carries. Motion for second reading, Councillor Court. Any discussion on second reading? Seeing none, I'll call the question for second reading. Second reading carries. Opposed?
No opposed.
Okay. Permission to seek third reading.
I'll make that.
I'll make that motion.
Councillor Edmonds moves to permit third reading. And just for information's sake, for those that might be watching on television, for those in the gallery, you can't have three readings in the same council meeting without seeking permission for the third reading. And that permission motion has to be unanimous. Okay, any discussion on permission for third reading?
I think what we need to understand that this is just to fix an administration glitch.
An oversight.
It's all what it is.
An oversight.
It's not to rediscuss the essence of
No,
the
Okay,
bylaw.
so, motion to permit third reading. All in favor? Opposed? Say motion fails, this will appear on the agenda in the first, will it appear at CCW or just at the meeting?
No, just at the next council.
It'll appear at the next regular motion, or meeting of council. What's the date of that, the 10th?
I think so.
10th of October.
I think
Okay.
it's
Yeah,
the 8th.
Thanksgiving.
Isn't the first a Tuesday?
First, there'll be the second Tuesday.
Yeah, that's fine.
It will be it'll be the 8th of October.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 8th of October. Okay, so the next item on our agenda, I have to do it back all the time. Financial report. It's there for your scrutiny. Any questions or concerns or comments on the financial report?
Well, the comment that we are in good shape. We have a surplus greater than what was expected. So that's good.
We'll spend it, Councillor.
I know you will. It's a false hope.
We still have 3 months. You
I
can-
know, I'm just kind
So we're in a state
of tongue in
of
cheek.
we're in a state of euphoria, but it's
Totally.
temporary.
At the moment.
But it's temporary.
You enjoy the moment while it is there.
Yeah, right. So, for your information, as you watch the progress of prior motions, the town council motion list is there.
Do we have a motion to approve the
Oh,
financials?
yeah.
My bad. Sorry, motion to approve the financial report. Councillors blank, Councillor Creed so moves.
Marian, can I just ask you something? It's really such a small amount. The ambulance service, there is $1,000 for the roof repair. What exactly is the situation? Has a roof been repaired on that building or not yet? Or?
It was repaired from the hail damage, and there was still some problems with leakage.
Leaking, yes.
And I can't tell you if they've been back to fix it yet. I haven't been
I
made aware.
believe it has been.
Yeah, I believe so
Last-
too,
the last
because that
report.
fixed the
report.
furnace
Not
too.
triple.
Yeah, he said that was.
I haven't asked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all what it represents.
Yeah, I think so.
Thanks.
Okay, so Councillor Creed moved approval of the financial report dated July 31st, 2013. All in favor? Motion to approve the financial report carries. Okay, so now we get to go to number 9, committee and other reports, town council motion list. Any items of discussion stemming from the town council motion list? I'm seeing none. 7B, committee reports, Ag Society.
Not much going on there, just basically talked about Heritage Days and how things went with that there, so other than that, just...
Any indication of their financial situation? That their big event, their biggest event, and thankful that they do so much at Heritage Days, but nothing stemming from that.
No, nothing too exciting, I mean, they're still talking about the rafters and some insurance issues and things like that, but those haven't been pounded out there yet, so...
Airport,
Okay, airport. I just talked to Leonard. I wasn't able to attend the meeting, but I asked him if what would they like to report. He said there's been some interest in building hangars, but no definite commitments out there. They had a concern about the hay out there, and I addressed this with Marian previous to the meeting, but apparently there's just an allowance for a farmer to take the hay off of the property, but there's some bales that have been sitting there for a couple of years, and the airport people would like to see those taken off. So I guess if I can just direct, I don't know who the farmer is, so if I can just direct that through administration to
That's where it should come.
request that hay be removed.
The other thing, if I might, I wasn't aware of this until Councillor Creed brought it to my attention, so maybe just report back to the airport committee if they have anything like that. Just please talk to us so we can deal with it.
Sure.
If we're not aware of it, we can't deal with it, right?
Gotcha. Well, they weren't sure who was doing it, so, but anyway, yeah, I guess it's fair for it to come through the councillor to the administration. But yeah, I can tell them they can call you directly as well, so.
Okay.
Good.
South Grove.
Okay, so there's quite a little bit of things happening there. There is a group that is called the Studio Group that has been commissioned to create ad campaign for water for economic development and for renewable energy. So very soon you're going to see some kind of something there. There's going to be also at the AUMA some visibility for South Grow, and we will be given a disc, I believe, that regarding renewable energies and potential co-op initiatives. There is also right now a call for a new manager. Shilpa Stoker will carry on as project manager for water for economic development and renewable energy.
And Mary's gone?
Mary will at the end of December be done. Her health needs to be looked after. And Shilpa will carry on with those projects until they are completely finished, would be probably the end of March. So that's a little bit where we at. What is exciting is that we have some initiative for regional business attraction and international attraction. So there's a lot of things moving forward right now, and I'm quite excited about it.
Good, thank you. Communities in Bloom.
Okay, Communities in Bloom had their final meeting for the year here on October 19th. There will probably be an article coming out in the paper and a picture from that. Carol Summerhill indicated that she would like to resign as chairman. She just feels like she can't handle that, so we'll be looking for a new chairman for the upcoming year, and any new volunteers for the committee as well.
Okay. Well, please convey to Communities in Bloom folks, I had a prior commitment and was invited to their recognition luncheon and was unable to be there. Normally I am there, but they do very good things. I mean, I think our Main Street is so beautiful. I really, really think it is wonderful. And so they do great things, and I just regret not being able to be at that recognition luncheon. Chief Mountain Solid Waste.
Well, I think the greatest excitement is the grant that has been given, and moving forward, Marian is going to lead us with the administrative part of that study. It was long coming, but we're moving in the right direction.
Thank you, Councillor. I appreciate that. Marian, you and I visited very briefly, so just walk us through very briefly through the 2 or 3 or 4 phases now that we'll be looking at.
We put out the expression of interest yesterday, and that goes out to engineering firms, and we're trying to determine if there is firms out there who have an interest in taking on this project and what their expertise might be. From that, we would shortlist with a committee from the Solid Waste Authority Board, as well as myself and Lee Beezer, their manager. We would then submit a request for proposals to that shortlisted group. And from there, we would move forward with awarding the contract to a firm and moving forward with the study. I anticipate that the contract will be awarded by February of 2014 because it takes some time to put all that together. The expressions of interest are due November 1st, so we'll be looking to the new board after the election to set the committee and shortlist those candidates.
And one of the questions I had was, in that process, once you get expressions of interest back, then you get some of the parameters that you're looking for them to analyze. Does it get into the operation of the landfill? I imagine it does.
Yes, it
Handling of the
has.
solid waste from curb, we'll probably have a look at recycling. So
Several
this has been long coming and much needed, and so this is great. Thank you for your good work, for each of you on these committees, thank you for your work. Anything else, Councillor Kronen, on Chief Mountain Solid Waste?
No, I was not at the last meeting. Councillor Creed was there for me, so.
Yeah, they had Mayor Kim Craig give a presentation on the SEWA, waste,
Oh, yeah.
waste to energy, and that's moving along, and that's.
I still
a
don't have a
good thing.
location though.
There's an ongoing problem with tonnage, and I'm hoping that this study will help address that. Just because of the, we're still in that mode from the hail damage and the roof repairs and construction materials that they've been hauling as much as they can to Lethbridge, but they're still under the gun as far as tonnage. They're being prepped, over what they were last year. So it's a challenge.
But I guess I'm a little bit concerned because, yes, we know that there's excess tonnage, but overage on the tonnage.
The only good thing we did is to increase the tipping fee to try to balance the cost.
Well,
And yet, when I proposed the tipping fee increase, they cut it down, which I thought was ridiculous. But to which one?
if you go to the root of the overage on the tonnage, insurance covers those kinds of tonnage excess.
Exactly, and the idea was for them to understand, you increase the tipping fee enough, then that the next route for them is to go directly to Lethbridge, and then we don't have the problem. Or you put it there, and we recoup our cost.
Now, I would like to go on record as, and I won't be here, but whoever is on Chief Mountain Solid Waste, I would like Chief Mountain Solid Waste to enter into some friendly negotiations with City Hall in Lethbridge to get any indication, if there is any indication, that maybe a new council would like to somehow give in. Are they forever going to be out on their own? Because I think SEWA becomes much more viable if and when waste from Lethbridge can be in part of that. Now, we know that Lethbridge has its own landfill. We know that.
It's a pristine operation. It's something to visit.
I'll bet.
It's amazing.
So are they doing anything at all happening there with energy from waste, with the city of Lethbridge?
No.
See, and it makes some sense that at some level, landfill aside, that they try to, because, that they try to do something in this energy from waste domain. Okay, so enough said, but I would hope that Chief Mountain Solid Waste would have some negotiations with a new mayor and council in Lethbridge. If we get told no, at least we tried. Okay? Chinook Foundation.
Yeah, there's a few things. There's quite a bit of excitement down in McGrath around their lodge that there's going to be some expansion to it. It badly needs it. The rooms are too small, and they're looking at there'd be more couples moving if the rooms were better. So there's something in the works with the government on some kind of a new way of doing it. So we're still on that. There's new accounting software that's going to cost. It's supposed to be better, but it's going to cost some headaches because it's going to be a little expensive to put in place. We think we can handle it. We've had offers from Green Acres to run our finances, but it doesn't look like that's such a good deal for us. We're a little concerned that if it starts to centralize like all the healthcare and everything else, that we might be the four cousins out here in the small town. So we're not really excited about having Green Acres take over, at least our accounting, just being a little careful on that. And all this is in the preliminary, so we're still getting stuff all the time back from it. And there has been some discussion about the front entrance of the Schow Foundation that needs to be improved on. Lodge, sorry, yeah.
What's,
Well, it slopes away, and we've been discussing it for quite a few years of how to try and make it so it's a little safer, a little more. There has been some discussion of putting in glass.
I see what you're saying.
So we don't have much room for our residents to kind of sit in the sun, or, we have that one little sunroom that sits about six people. And there has been some discussion, again, we're still right in the middle of preliminaries here, of trying to expand more of a glass front, like an atrium type thing.
Out of the veranda.
Yeah, something to that effect, but we're just trying right now. There has been an offer from some engineering firm or some group that does this across Canada, and there's been a discussion about him coming and taking a look at it. We haven't got past that yet. I personally think we need to do something with the front entrance of the lodge. It needs to be enhanced, make it look better, make it a little bit safer.
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit.
You work there, so those are preliminary discussions that obviously the new Lodge Council will be deeming, or Foundation Board will be looking at down the road, so.
Accompanied by increased requisitions.
Well, actually, things are looking pretty good in that direction, but things aren't cheap either, so.
Community futures.
We met last night and had our shortest meeting on record. We were all finished by about 8:15. Started at 7.
Does that include dinner?
Well, no, dinner was before that. We approved one of the improvement loans to Carlson.
Oh, good.
So the town will be responsible for paying the interest, which will be paid on a yearly basis rather than all up front like they originally wanted to do. We're looking for a storage place for an air seeder.
For what?
An air seeder.
Yes.
You know, that plants the seed.
How much room?
It's, well, when it's opened up, it's 45 feet wide. But it does collapse up to probably about 12, 14 feet. But they're looking for somewhere to store it because it's contingent on one of the loans that we want to approve. But it can't be stored where it is now. It has to be in a secure location. So they're looking for somewhere. You know, anybody that has an empty barn that...
We talked to Jack Malin.
Well, that's what I was going to say, what about up the hill there?
So they're looking for that so they can approve this loan, but they want somewhere secure.
I mean,
Did we do some air seeding at the Lions Park football field? Is that what we did down there? Yeah, okay. Okay, anything else, Councillor?
No, that's everything.
Okay, economic development and tourism.
I must say I was not there at the last meeting, but looking through the minutes, it looked like there were quite a few items that were discussed, and Jeff sent through the email the different plans for the next 3 years that ECDEV is willing to do. So I think Jeff will present that plan for us very soon at council. It was quite a lengthy document, and there is some items on there that touches the development, pursuing the development of the land on the Waterton Highway to try to get land ready for business investment if we have that opportunity. Right now, what we're still looking at is the connection to the highway, which is the problem. It would be a nice thing to pursue that, and I hope in time that the ministry would allow that. In fact, I really wondered how we as a council can put a little bit of pressure on a provincial to try to help them understand that we as a small rural town do not have such a great opportunity to have land serviced, and it has to be on a highway and not on a bypass, so it's about the only place. And how can we petition the government, maybe our municipal affairs and our highway to work together in order for us to be able to get a connection?
Let me ask you a question. Marian, would it be inappropriate, you tell me what your thoughts are. I'm on first name basis terms with the minister, okay? That's a relationship I've developed over the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. Would it be inappropriate to sort of circumvent the Southern Alberta regional structure with a letter to Minister Rick McIver in Transportation?
I think it has to go also to Minister
Griffiths.
Griffiths.
Anyway, think about that, and
It has been our experience that we tend to bang into a solid wall when we try to deal with the lower echelons of transportation.
We're not
Don't seem to get
moving
anywhere.
and we're losing opportunities.
We're not.
We had an opportunity
When
and
we talk-
it's...
That's what I'm saying, when we talk to the, I don't know, the civil service, we don't seem to get too far on things that we ask for.
We need to be more aggressive.
You might have to just go over and go
Yeah.
right to the minister.
Personally, we need to be more aggressive. Otherwise, we're never going to have that land to a point where we can do anything with
I'm
it.
happy to have that letter over my signature to the minister directly, unless administration in their wisdom, but it sounds like council's pretty strongly in favor of maybe going right to the minister on that one. He's as much as said, anytime you need anything, just call me.
If I might, I think it's fine to send a letter to the minister. We'll get some background information together.
Okay.
So council understands what's been done to date. And
Jeff
then-
has done a lot.
Right,
I know.
exactly. But there's a second piece to that, and I think at the AUMA convention, we should request a delegation with the minister to discuss that issue.
Thank you.
But then we did that, when I was first called to council, we met with the minister about seeing to get the traffic lights on Main Street and 3rd Avenue changed to blinking after 11 o'clock. He said they would look into it, and we never heard a thing after that. So maybe that's something else we need to bring up at the same time, because it is a convenience to have it go to blink, because the other lights go blink, but that one just stays red, and at night it stays for red for probably about 2 or 3
You
minutes.
can have a nap waiting for it to change.
Yeah,
Yeah, bring your lunch, because it could be a while.
and
But I mean,
one of our residents went through it and got a ticket. So, you know,
well, yeah, go through a red light.
Let me briefly discuss 2 very exciting meetings held Tuesday evening and Wednesday noon. I was informed a couple of weeks ago by Heather Bird, and it's through the involvement of her son Rob and his wife, who are graduates of Southern Virginia University, of the visit to Alberta from Paul Sobrowski, the new, as of June of last year, the new president of Southern Virginia University. There were some very exciting discussions held, especially at the Wednesday noon luncheon right here, hosted by the town, and the town did a very nice job. And there are some exciting developments on that front involving the possibility, in this case, an LDS faith-based college in Cardston. I'd be happy to speak privately when there's time to anyone that would like to tell a little bit about, and Marian as well attended both meetings. And I think our takeaway from those meetings is there is, and you were there too,
I was there.
there is very good reason to be excited. Now, this isn't something that's going to happen next month or next year. There's some preliminary groundwork that needs to be involved there. A scholarship fund needs to be raised. Mary?
Just as a follow-up, I've been in discussions with Heather this week, and the intent is that we will organize a follow-up meeting and start to sort of formulate those committees and get people involved. So you can expect to see something on that probably within the next week.
Now, I will be out of town, so hopefully that can happen after I get back. I won't be back till about noon on Tuesday for CCW. And I've sent that email to Heather to let her know that I'll be out of town as well. So thank you very much. FCSS,
The Glenwood representative attended our last meeting. The Hillspring representative wasn't able to attend due to other conflicts, and also the time of the meeting wasn't too good for them to make it from their location, so we might have to adjust that. The county has agreed that they will pay the full assessment to the town. The reason why they haven't done it before that is that it wasn't in the budget. So now it's going to be in the budget, so we should get our full assessment. I think that letter that came from the government also helped.
I think the government letter helped, for sure. Thank you. Fire service?
Okay, fire service,
The problem was a truck.
well, yeah, they're needing a new rescue vehicle, and Danny's been looking, he can't find one in Canada, he's looking in the United States, and that's going to be a fairly big ticket item. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, it's about $175,000 for that. They had actually fairly slow summer, which was good as far as calls. On the co-response for our fire department, we're still waiting for a more definite information. They're not opposed to doing that. In fact, they do it anyway. When there's a need to be a first responder, but they want to just know what they want to have some definite guidelines in place so that they know what they will be responsible to respond to. So we actually tabled that to the next meeting. Danny's looking for a little bit more information from Greg Erickson on what would be required on that co-response.
If I remember reading...
Not co-response, but first response.
Danny's trying to find some more volunteers because this summer they were slightly short.
Yeah, they were. But fortunately, it was, like I say, they didn't have
it was
very many
not
calls
busy.
this summer. So.
Had it been busy, it would have been a different story.
But they are still looking for additional manpower for the department.
I personally think, as does virtually every person who attends mayors and meetings, is totally opposed to the government's move to split off the ambulance side. And I think that's going to have some serious negative impact in rural Alberta, both for counties and for small urbans. Okay, handy bus?
Nope, I was not able to attend that, so I'll grab the minutes off that.
It's still running, is it?
Yeah, barely. No, I think we got a new one there, so I think it's fine.
Historical Society.
At the last meeting, they mentioned that Broderick, who was working at the museum, had scanned 1,500 documents, and so we now have them digitized into the computer. The donations were down this year, but the number of people visiting were up. But I think part of the problem is that next year they're going to have to adjust the time for the card home. I was going to the theater and I noticed there was lots of people milling around, and a lot of them were going into the card home. And at 7 o'clock, the tour person said, "Everybody out, I've got to go." And there was probably 20 people in there at that time.
And they were probably just spending some time prior to going to their seats in the
See, they
theater.
had half an hour between 7 and 7:30 before so I've mentioned to them that we need to stay open till 7:30, maybe open later, and stay open till 7:30 and then talk to these people.
Absolutely.
Because they were all from out of town.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my heavens.
Now, the other thing
What is
is...
students doing that?
Yes. The other thing is, I noticed they're redoing the windows, and
Yeah,
they're
okay.
changing the window sills, and that's a no-no. That can't be done.
That violates the historical
Yeah.
integrity.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to get in touch with them and let them know. It's probably too late now because they've got most of them done. Because if it's rotting away, what you have to do is take it and use epoxy to make it look like the original. You can't just put a wooden board in, so that's going to be a problem for them. And it might affect funding in the future because we're not a completely intact building once you made those changes. And I doubt that they got approval by the the group that looks after it in the government before they went ahead and did any painting.
Oh, boy.
Because even the painting has to be done, you can't change the colors. And what we had to do before when we painted it, we had to sound down through all the layers, find out what the original colors were, and then have them matched, and then do the painting. So they might have some problems in the future now that they've
He
done
was
that.
working on that tonight, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna look good, but it's not original. You know, they tell a story about George Washington's axe that he used to supposedly chop down the cherry tree. They can't confirm it one way or the other. But what they found was that the handle was rotting away. So somebody replaced the handle. And then somebody noted that the axe head was all pitted. So they got another axe head and they put it on the new handle. So the axe isn't even the same anymore. And that's what's gonna happen with this
Oh,
building.
dear. Oh, dear. Thank you, Councillor. Anything else?
Not on that one.
Okay. IMDP.
That's you, man.
That's us, you and me.
Oh, right.
We haven't met for a
Municipal.
while.
It's been a while.
Thank you. I'm thinking municipal. But as you're well aware, we've said this before, we were needing to move forward on a rather obsolete municipal development plan. And a specific note was to talk to the people in the county in that fringe area. And the county preferred to not go there
Till after the election.
till after the election. And all I can say, not related to that move, was wow. Anyway, so nothing is happening on that front. Levitt Irrigation District, that was Councillor Dahl. We've had nothing involved there, have we, Marian, Levitt Irrigation? Okay.
Except they had a line break up in the northwest corner of town.
Yeah.
It was their line, but it's fixed now.
Okay. Who fixes those lines?
I don't know who they hired to do it.
It's private
Marvin
contract.
Levitt rides the ditches, that's all I know.
Library.
They got a good deal on some new shelving. I guess Delbert Beezer must be on the Crown asset list for when they're disposing of things. They send out a list of what's available, and there was a bunch of shelving that they were closing down the library in one of the office buildings in Calgary. And he put a bid on it, I think it was $50, and got probably $1,000 or more of shelving. It's identical to what they're using in the library, so it's going to fit right in, and it's going to allow them to make some changes in the position of the rows. The other problem they're having is the stucco on the outside of the building is cracking. There's hairline cracks everywhere. And to figure what the problem is, the plastering was done and then it froze. And there's no way to go back on the people, so they're looking into what can be done to save this plaster. Maybe they can, put some
Sealant.
kind of a
Sealant.
ceramic paint or something on it that will hold it together. But if you look at it, there's all kinds of cracks.
When was it done?
That was done, what? How old's the building now?
Library.
2006 or 7.
Yeah.
probably.
10 years anyhow.
Yeah.
Well, for sure, 7 or 8, for sure.
The other problem they want to do, and they're looking into now, they're getting prices, they want to move the front doors around to the side. What the problem is, when it snows, the wind takes that snow and blows it around the corner there, and it all piles up in front of the door. And then people that are handicapped can't get in.
So we're talking the west side, they would move it?
Yes. So they're going to do that. So, and it'll work out well because there is a window there, so they will just replace the window and move it around to the front.
And nice, this parking, which has just been newly redone, is quite close.
Mhm.
The south end of that parking lot would be fairly close. I've always had a concern about all the stairs, because people park on Main Street.
Yeah.
You got all those stairs, and it kind of looks nice, but practically, it's just not great. So you think that'll move forward, that they will? Or is that something they're just looking into, or they think?
They're
that-
getting prices at
Okay.
the present time. The other problem they have on the front stairs, close to the top, on the south end, the cement is all coming apart. It's all got chunks out of it, so they're gonna have to see about doing something with that. The other problem they have is those side doors that are recessed at the alley entrance, where the kids come in. They have people going in there and doing all kinds of obscene things
In the recessed part.
in the recess part.
Okay, so what they need to do is find a way to, with
So what
the
they're gonna do is move those doors out, and they're getting prices on that, so. They were gonna put cameras in there, but Donna says, I don't want to know what they're doing in there.
Good point, Donna, good point. Wow, lots of stuff. At Mayors and Reeves, one of the items that we've been faced with the last couple of months is the city of Lethbridge, as you're well aware, if you followed at all this provincial government splitting off ambulance response, the city has an excellent center where all of Lethbridge and southern Alberta, and I don't know the exact radius, but certainly to the BC border, to the Montana border, and probably out to halfway between Medicine Hat and north as well, they have integrated first responder center, fire, police, and ambulance. And they are, the mayor's been at these meetings, he's of Lethbridge, Manitoba, been so frustrated and has told the government in no uncertain terms this is a serious mistake, and everybody agrees with that position. It's a serious mistake to centralize into Calgary and Edmonton the ambulance response. And yet government seems to be undeterred. They think that they're going to be implementing this in 2015. Did they give them a season or a month or something? They just think that it'll be implemented in 2015. That's been the most significant item on the agenda. And interestingly enough, most of you probably know George Porter. He has been doing EMT and ambulance response and coordination for, what did he say, I think 40 years.
Yeah.
He came and presented at the Mayors and Reeves, and of course, he knows what he's doing, and he is just so frustrated. And he still is in Glenwood, I think.
He does.
And he works up into to Nant and Claresholm up that way. And he talked, and of course, when someone that's had 40 years experience doing that, because what he said one of the main problems is, they're transporting patients that can walk to the ambulance. And so patient transfers are being done with ambulances. And when they have to do that, take them to Calgary, there's no ambulance behind to take over the slack when that ambulance transports a patient. And yet, the Calgary facility that they're being transported to will not take their patient transfer vehicles out of the city and bring them out to transfer those patients into the city. So it's just a very frustrating mess.
So that's the discussion we've had before. When we have an ambulance gone from here, that means we're relying on somebody from Pitcher Creek or Fort McLeod if we have an emergency to have to come all the way over here because we're transferring somebody somewhere else. It's just
Absolutely.
ludicrous.
Mayor Dodick isn't running again.
There are some really weird government regulations. I know when I worked at Foothills Hospital, if you had a heart attack in the parking lot, we had to get an ambulance to bring you into the building, even though we could have brought a gurney out and put you on it and taken you into emergency.
That happened in Lethbridge last year. They had to call the ambulance and it was right in the front part of the hospital.
Makes no sense.
But if there's no ambulances there, you're going to lay there until...
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So that's been the main headline item at Mayors and Reeves. Municipal subdivision and development authority.
Things go along just smooth. We do need a new member, which we'll be discussing about here. It's one of ours moved away.
Parks and Recreation, did they meet this week?
Yes, we did. There's been a lot of discussion as we're trying to work out a joint use agreement between us and the school division. So Jeff and I went down to McGrath a week or two ago to talk to the representatives from McGrath, Raymond, and Sterling. What we did find out is every community is different in how they, and their amount of recreation to begin with, and what they do. We've tried to work out some kind of agreement, cost share, etc. The other three towns don't charge the school division anything. part of it has to do with, we actually, for example, the football field, the town we own our football field, the school doesn't. And Raymond, until just very recently, because they're building a brand new one, the school division owned the football field. Now Raymond's looking into some kind of agreement, and Scott was there, their CAO, and we're gonna stay on top of this, because we realize that it would be better if it's a little hard for Sterling, because they don't have the facilities that we've got. McGrath's kind of like us a little bit, but we're gonna work out some kind of a, maybe template that we can all follow down the road, because Raymond's town will now be running their football field when they get their new complex done. So, anyhow.
So the school board will not,
The school board basically bought, now I can understand where they're coming from, they basically bought the football field for $300,000.
right,
Because their schools are all on one property and it's
And they
pretty
need
tight,
them.
and they need the space. And that football field was taking up a very large part of their green space.
right.
So Raymond's gonna be becoming more like us in that they're gonna own that facility and they're gonna have to work something out with the school division.
No,
But right now, they're not trying to charge anything, and so we've got to come back to square one and see what we're gonna do with that.
So the town will be looking after the maintenance of that field?
I believe so, yes.
So that's a story.
Yeah.
Now, can I ask you, did two items that I requested on that Parks and Rec agenda. One is softball people want the grass in the infield in Redford taken out because you've got the shale here and the grass will grow up here, and most softball teams really don't like that infield grass, they want it taken away.
That hasn't been discussed.
That was supposed to be on that agenda.
Well, we meet on Monday.
Oh, you meet on Monday, okay, so it'll be on this Monday's agenda. The second thing is, the dilapidated signs down there
Yeah.
now. It was a fundraising project of a couple of private individuals tied into what's called the Cardston Classic Softball Tournament. I've had some discussions with Chamber of Commerce people that maybe they could step in and be the legs on this one. But if nothing else, I think I think the town would be better served if every dilapidated sign was removed sooner rather than later, and then over the course of the winter, steps could be taken to replace those signs, especially the dilapidated ones. Plus, there are some signs that businesses put up, and the businesses are no longer in operation.
Yeah.
Now, the two private individuals that were involved in that were Kevin Soper and Gibby Schaefer.
And you're still involved in softball.
So that's just something that needs to be looked at. I really would like to see those dilapidated signs taken down sooner rather than later, because they really are an eyesore, quite frankly.
Well, there's actually two sets of fence there. You've got the
Yeah.
regular
Yeah.
fence and then the signs in behind that. So it becomes a bit of a contest to see who can hit the ball and hit the sign. You know,
Yeah.
so, but,
And there is one sign that's out of the container there.
Okay.
Out of the moorings.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of signs that A, are dilapidated, and or B, the business is no longer in existence. So, and I don't want that to fall on the
no, there's not really an organization that's gonna go knock those signs down. I'm afraid it'd probably wind up on the Parks and Rec Board's shoulders.
But you know what, you might get the chamber to come in and step in and say, hey, if we can get an agreement with you to take this, to promote it, and then make a little bit on the signs, make a little bit on the annual renewal of signs like they do in the ice rink. So just some ideas, and I've expressed those to a couple of chamber people. Okay.
Talking about signs, just one other thing I forgot to mention. Community Futures has had a couple of multiple banners made up, which they're wanting to put in different areas. And it was suggested at the meeting that possibly we're allowed one from the town and one from the county. That maybe what we should do is put one at the Agrodome and one at the high school. And the town would, our choice would be wherever, and the county would put the other one where we didn't. So that is something that they will be doing in the near future.
Okay.
So if I could just summarize on that joint use agreement, it's still in flux. We're still trying to work something out here. It's very difficult when the other three towns aren't paying the school division anything, and we're trying to work something out.
There's been some discussion in the office.
Not paying them, so.
There's been some discussion in the office, and it hasn't really reached council table yet, but the fundraising phase for the swimming pool is going to be stepped up. Marian, can you give us a little bit on that? At some point, we're going to go after some large donors, okay? We won't turn down the $20, $80 donation from the private citizens, but if West Wind School Division would step up as a major sponsor, maybe they sponsor the water slide, for example, which is about a $250,000 ticket. Any comments on that, Marian?
We're holding the open house for the pool on October 10th is the date. We're inviting the public down to see the progress to date as well. We'll have a colored rendering of the finished product there. And at that time, we anticipate that we'll kick off some additional fundraising for the building, additional amenities in the pool and that type of thing. So the details of that are just in progress, but yeah, we will be working towards some corporate sponsors as well as community sponsors.
What time was that at, right?
4 to 7?
No, I thought it was earlier.
No, Graham did up the thing and he just
It
gave
was in
me
the
the
paper.
4 signs, so.
What is that?
Yeah, maybe it was.
Now, let me speak just a little bit about the powwow. A powwow meeting has been called for Monday, the 7th of October. Every person who has been remotely affiliated with the powwow over the last 5-6 years, since the first one in 2008, has been invited to the meeting. And I can tell you that the idea has been discussed, and I might be the initiating force on this. I want to be very tactful about how I say this, but we had no funding this year from the folks in Moses Lake. We don't know what to count on moving forward. We just don't know what to count on. So rather than pull, I've had this thought, maybe we try to make it a Cardston Kainai Nation powwow. And if we do that, we don't want to pull the rug out from under the Moses Lake people. We want them to be able to have some discussion on that concept. That's about the only thing that's on the agenda for that meeting on the 7th. Because I think Marian was the one that said, well, let's be careful that politically we don't make a faux pas and pull the rug out from under Moses Lake folks. So if they will show up, I will probably present to them that idea. Now, if they like the idea, because again, we can't find ourselves in the same situation next February that or March or April or May or June like we were this year. And I've had some discussions with folks that, maybe we say, okay, we'll budget $8,000 and then try to get some local donations, and whatever happens, we'll hold a very simple powwow, just a one-day thing, but we would possibly invite the tribe to participate in this Cardston Kainai Nation powwow, and please let us know of your decision. If you choose to be involved as a 50-50 partner, we would appreciate your $7,000 or $8,000 contribution. And then if we don't get it by, let's say, D-Day as decision day, we just move forward and we make sure we don't put out posters advertising X thousands of dollars of prize money. We just follow a roadmap and move forward. That's if the new council is even interested in doing a powwow. We don't know that till we get there, okay? So I hope I made that clear. I think the idea of a Cardston Kainai Nation powwow has some validity, but we don't want to pull the rug out from under Moses Lake without asking them for their opinion first. So,
And it's semi-related, I guess. Do we hear anything else from the day chiefs as far as nothing yet? Okay.
I still see some of their signs out. They haven't bothered to go take them down. So, Maggie and Councillor Creed, you both were intimately involved in the powwow the last couple of years or longer. Any thoughts on that concept and that process that I've kind of laid out?
What I'm interested to know is, first of all, why can't a Cardston Moses Lake powwow work? What creates the blocking problem? We had movement up to a certain point. In February, when we had the first meeting, or March, I don't remember when, February, that's what I thought, I really said at that very first meeting, the power needs to have a sound financial model. And I remember the Blood Tribe representative at that point saying, yes, I have the authority to do that, no problem. And I think this is where we have difficulty, is comprehending how from their Blood Tribe Council, the authority is delegated to the Moses Lake Power Committee, which I had all, to be able to be sure that the person that comes at the table has indeed the authority to take that letter to seek funding. It obviously was not the case.
Well, first of all,
We were led to believe it was. But
the individual or individuals who were spokespersons for the Moses Lake community were just Moses Lake spokespersons. If you go back and understand the origin of the powwow, it was all Oliver Schouw. And
Yes.
with his passing, tragically, there was a leadership void created. So that's why the idea has been generated, that let's see if this idea of a Cardston Kainai Nation powwow has merit, if the Moses Lake people are okay with it, and then at that point, the decision would have to be made to invite the chief, to a letter to chief and council to participate in Cardston Kainai Nation powwow. And that then kicks in my thoughts. If we invite them to participate, that's a yes or no. If it's yes, would you kindly forward your cost share for participation in it? And if we don't get their funding by D-Day, that we will decide, then we move forward. If council is going to go that direction, new council, then we'll have our own powwow, and we'll do it without advertising $10,000 in prize money. It will just be a scaled-down powwow with the limited budget that we've got.
I really think what we need to do is be true to the essence of Oliver's shouting message, which was bridging communities and on an equal financial footing. That really was the essence of his message.
But have you heard what I just said? Oliver's dead. The powwow died this year.
Totally, I agree. It should not have died. It did die by some other reason.
You and I can't control it.
Exactly, I know that.
And so I want to fix it. And this is my idea to fix it.
Well,
Okay.
we can always see.
And
what comes out of
Oliver,
it.
sadly, Oliver's legacy is still here, but there's a leadership void in that regard. And so because we've learned that we can't count on what we need, and we can't go down that road again. If you don't like my thought, please come up with a better one.
No,
I've given a lot of thought to this. I've worked on this for over 6 years. Well, at least 6 years.
Mayor, I appreciate totally what you've done to try to bridge a community.
I don't
Trust
think
me,
you reinvent the wheel here.
I do appreciate what you've
I know
done.
you do, but I'm not sure you're getting the message. I'm not sure you're getting the message.
But I understand that essentially what you want to do is keep on that notion of bridging communities together. And I appreciate that I'm a supporter of bridging communities. What I'm a little concerned about, maybe, is the model. I really want it to be a shared venture, because that's the whole idea, right?
Hence
That's what
the
we want.
idea of Cardston Kainai Nation powwow.
Okay, well, let's discuss it at October the 7th. That will be the time that will
But
be given.
please, if you've got some solid ideas, let me know of them or present them. And don't blindside me, let me know beforehand,
No,
okay?
I will give it a thought as to what kind of model along what you think.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Would you like a comment?
Please, please, yeah.
What we call it, I guess, isn't so important, but, if we do it at Cardston Kainai Powwow, that would be fine. My feeling is that we still need solid leadership from the Kainai Nation, whether it's Moses Lake people or someone else. It is their culture, and I feel like we don't want to take over their culture. And my thought on, maybe my thinking is too simplistic, but my feeling was that if we could find that leadership there, give them the major responsibility for pulling off the powwow, with the town being willing to support it with X amount of financial support and volunteer support, but allowing them to actually be the leadership to pull off the powwow, and Carlson would support them in doing that. That's my feeling. I hope it's not too simplistic, but that's kind of what I feel it needs to happen.
It's kind of what it was doing. I mean, to start with, they were obviously I know nothing about a powwow. Because that's the way it kind of worked to begin with. We gave them support financially and the land and et cetera, and then they ran the powwow. So
Well, they did the actual intricate
Right.
operational details of it. They did.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so that's enough on that, so I guess we'll discuss it further, but I've watched this ever since the passing of Oliver Shouting, and 2013 was a disappointment, and we've got to do something that's different, or we're just wasting our time. Okay, so now we're into correspondence. Municipal Affairs has got a piece of correspondence there. Let me find my correspondence section here.
library.
Oh, they're inviting the library board to apply for the 5th Annual Ministers Awards of Excellence and Innovation in Public Library Service. Do you know if that's, it's been September 3rd, addressed to Mr. Quinton, the chairman of the board. Are they working on that, do you know?
They didn't bring that up at the meeting.
Didn't get on the agenda, okay. Well, they got the letter, so. The next thing is, ATB Financial is having a 75th celebration this Friday. I will be out of town. Deputy Mayor, are you available to attend that on the 27th?
I don't, what time, sorry, is it lunchtime, was it?
It's
What's it?
11:30 to
Oh,
1:30.
11:31, yeah.
It's the 27th.
I don't think
27th
they're
is
gonna be
Friday.
able to make that there, so.
Show of hands, who can be there for that function?
What day is that? September?
Friday the
That's a
27th, this
Friday.
coming Friday. Councillor Edmonds, will you be there, and kindly give my regrets because I am out of town. I won't tell you how much fun I'm going to be having with my grandchildren, I'll tell you that later. Hopefully I'll be cheering for a BYU victory on Friday night and some other things. Okay, so Councillor Edmonds will represent the town, and again, give my regrets because I can't make that. So then we have,
Two phones. You have any pay phones?
Just to work on myself.
Oh, they're all gone.
Do we have payphones at all? Is there a payphone in town?
There's one at IGA.
I think there,
Is there
I
still
better
one?
look, I think there's still one at the Dairy Queen, I better look and see.
I don't think there's one there.
It might be
I don't-
gone.
The only one I know of for sure is outside of the IGA, but I don't know
Okay.
if there's any others.
They,
Which isn't IGA anymore.
yeah, it's Family Foods, yeah, Family Foods. See,
Carlson.
see, there's another thing, there's
Heritage
another
Lane,
thing, the
Heritage
Carriage
Lane.
Lane Family Foods, but the IGA sign is down there, so I'm sure they're gonna wanna change that as well, at the Redford Diamond. So, they're asking us, Diversity Canada Foundation, I personally don't think I want to get involved in telling anybody, especially a private business, Bell Canada, what they can and can't do with their rates.
maybe back in blacksmith shop too. like that.
So, I mean, I don't know that we do anything there unless someone really feels strongly. Restorative Justice Week, you know, we have about 152 things that we could declare and only 52 weeks to do it in. And the point that keeps getting made is, why would we declare any week unless we're prepared to really do something serious that we believe in? So that's another one. Travel Alberta is presenting something to do with their 3-year budget action plan, 2013 to 2016. Going through these pieces of correspondence again. Okay, the one from Justice and Solicitor General has to do with the Alberta Police and Peace Officers Memorial Day. We have posters we can put up, right, Marian? So we'll put up posters on that. The next one is the change of some ownership between, and assets between TransCanada ATCO Pipelines. Cardston County Number H has sent their letter saying that they have seen the light. They will send us their share of the FCSS funding. Municipal Affairs is talking about, and so Marian sent us all an email on that. And I put my blurb in there about linear taxes need to be collected by the province and redistributed fairly and equally throughout the province, and not just being held in these coffers of the county. So please look on your email, and I would urge you to be heard on the linear tax issue, because it's millions and millions and millions of dollars from linear taxes sit in county coffers.
Close to $1 billion.
Close to $1 billion sit in county coffers. And those dollars are rarely shared. Occasionally, you'll find a county council that will support the ice rink, the pool, the library, the ball diamonds in their neighboring municipality. But that's not very often the case. So I would urge you to go and look and put in your opinions on this linear tax issue. The counties haven't had to build those lines, they don't have to maintain them, and yet they collect, like Councillor Edmonds says, close to $1 billion in tax revenue. And we do have, I put my feelings in there, but I couldn't seem when I pushed the send button to make anything happen.
It's probably the way the government set it up.
Probably. So now the final one is the addition. Marian, refresh my memory on that one, would you?
For Municipal Affairs, it's regarding information on the flooding legislation, and they're looking for input from municipal councils. So I urge you again to go in and complete that survey. The reason we put it as an addition is because the survey is only open from September 23rd to September 30th.
Okay.
That's the link, that's the
link on
the
that.
link right there.
Yeah. So if you just put that into your, I don't even know what you call it. Browser.
Yeah.
See, that's how tech savvy I am. Put it in your computer.
Yeah, well, talk about the tech savvy, I'm not there really either. Like someone was saying, where was it? I think it was probably in a public setting. They were having trouble with their technology, and someone spoke up in the audience and said, "Do you want my 6-year-old to fix it?" I mean, hello. Okay, so can I entertain a motion, please? Councillor Court moves we go in camera.